Health. What is health? Well, you need it to live. Truly a confounding statement. But in all seriousness, in many video games, you need it in order to continue playing. Here in Elden Ring, it's the only thing that protects you from the skill issue pop-up. There's also many different ways of recovering it, from things like sitting on a grace, chugging down health pots, patiently regenerating it, or stealing it from your enemies. In this challenge run, I'm going to be recovering it through health regeneration. This is Warnock Gamer 4, and please sit back, relax, and or listen as I try to beat Elden Ring by just using health regeneration. Also, make sure to drop a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm to recommend it to more people. Because of how long it takes for me to edit these videos, it'd be much appreciated. Now let's get right into the run. First off, health pots are gone. It's the blue Gatorade's time to shine. Now I need some regeneration. The best one I can get right now is from Pope Turtle the First, which is Blessing's Boon. It has a nice health regeneration, but it's quite a bit costly on the faith department. Next up, I gotta inhale some of that good shit. In order to get my next health regen item, which is, as I was saying, to get the next regen item, which is the Blessed Dew Talisman. It's not much, but it's certainly something for now. Next, I go into the Woodfolk Ruins in order to get a recipe for warming stones, and also pick up the Icon Shield. Now I deal with whatever gets in my way in order to get into Murkwater Cave. And all that's done just for Margit's Shackle. Next up, I go into the Hero's Grave that's right next to the capital, and I'm here to get two things. One is the Golden Epitaph Armament. I'm going to be using this just for the skill it has. The second thing I'm here to get is obtained by destroying the chariot. Margit's Shackle allows me to easily hit the thing I need to trigger. Whoops, wrong chariot destroyed. And because of that, it's time to redo this real quick. And after the area reload, I get the Ash Award that I wanted, Holy Ground. It creates a little area that boosts my defenses and also gives me a good amount of health regen. The only bad thing about it is that it needs to be placed on a shield, and unfortunately the Icon Shield does not count. So instead I got a second rickety shield and placed it there. And the first one is going to be used for parrying. Up next I get the Frenzied Burst incantation. And now it's time to farm for the Pumpkin Helm. It took quite a while to actually obtain, which was about 45 minutes worth of killing the same guy over and over. Good thing he dropped Sanctuary Stones, which is going to be needed for later. When I finally get the helm that I wanted, I can now live out my dreams of being an active living Tesla coil. It's honestly so good that the Frenzy Burst incantation pairs so well with the helm. Anyways, moving on, I head into the Celia Crystal Tunnel to get the Faithful Canvas Talisman, which boosts my incantation by 5%, then the Howl of Shabriri for some self-buffing, but at the cost of my defense stat. And right before fighting the first main boss, I take a little detour into the Weeping Peninsula in order to deal with the Erdtree Avatar here. After its defeat, I get the Crimson Burst Crystal Tier. It has a good amount of health regen per second, but what makes it really shine is its duration. And with all those items obtained, now it's time to deal with Margit. During my time fighting Margit, I realized something. The Frenzied Burst incantation will trivialize a lot of these fights, especially if I charge the attack. And because of that, I made a new rule to limit myself, which means I can only attack while under the effects of the Holy Ground Dash of War. And if I want to send out a charged Frenzy Burst, I need to be tweaking out my little Holy Ground sigil. In order to do this, I need to use Golden Epitaph's skill, and while under its effects, I drop down the Holy Ground. This interesting interaction leads me to take damage from the Golden Land Dash of War, which is the reason why my character looks like he's having a seizure while in it. It makes sense for a Tesla coil like me because it appears like I'm getting charged by electricity. Yes, I can feel the power running right through me. My body is so damn ready for this. I'm slowly becoming a true Tesla coil. This also slows down the fight quite a bit. Now it's time to zap all over Margit. I also threw a few parries in order to style on the boss. You know, in order to keep the fight a bit interesting. and after one final burst into Margit's face, he goes down in about 5 minutes and 5 seconds. And I went through about 20 attempts in order to actually win. The editing made it look easy, but trust me, it wasn't. Great, now it's time to run right through Stormveil Castle. In order to fight Mr. I Love Caressing Dead Dragons, Godrick. This fight was just a lot of running from one end of the arena to the other. But unfortunately for me, in my first attempt I ran out of juice, so I had to bail. In the second attempt it went so much better. Nothing really much to write home about in this fight. It was just a bunch of me spamming the Church Tesla coil zaps. This quote-off-quote battle lasted about 5 minutes and 39 seconds, and I only failed one time. With Godrick defeated, I grab an eye, then head over to the Stranded Graveyard to upgrade my Sacred Seal. But because there's a chariot here, it's easier said than done. Anyways, I quickly deal with the knight that drops it, and my reward is the Dragon Communion Seal. It's been a damn long time since I last used this seal. Now it's time to upgrade it, which the max right now I can get it up to +6. Now it's time to invest my stats into Arcane. The Dragon Communion demands it. Now I'm off to the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. And here I give the scholars of this fine academy a little science lesson, giving them a little bit of a shock into their worldview. But while my stay in the academy was very well received, I unfortunately hit a roadblock with Clifford's rejected cousin over here. Because of this, I head into the Golden Lineage Everjail, where I get defeated by Tactical Flatulence. So now instead I head into Loux Ruins in order to quickly burst down the Demi-Human Queen. In order to get the Ritual Sword Talisman. With that talisman obtained, and mixing it with the Last Rites Holy Ground combo, you get an absolute annoyance. Not only is the Ritual Sword Talisman's full health sound distracting, it isn't the only thing that's going off right now. Because if you play this game on a controller, this is the only thing you're going to be feeling and hearing.
Oh yeah, this is not going to get annoying at all.
It vibrates like absolute hell in my hands. But luckily, through the power of editing, you guys won't be hearing any of that. It's incredibly obnoxious and I'm going to be the only one suffering through it. With this power increase, I go and fight Godfrey the Grafted again, but this time I change my battle tactic into a more melee-oriented assault. Which, even though I'm limited to being on the sigil in order to attack the boss, I take him down rather easily compared to when I was sniping him. And for my troubles, I get the Godfrey icon. And this little puppy allows my charged incantations to deal more damage, which works very well for the Frenzied Burst. Now it's time to level up a bit with the runes I collected, make some quick work of the Red Wolf of Radagon, and now before actually facing Rennala, I instead go after Radahn first. Not a good idea because of how I built my character, which is a very squishy glass cannon. But because I have the enlisted support of the summons here, I can use them as a distraction in order to actually deal some good damage. Staying far away enough to be safe, and staying close enough to deal damage and not get squashed was the only challenge here. If it wasn't for the support of the summons, I would have done this fight a lot later. The fight lasted about 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and I only died those 3 times at the beginning. And now with Radahn defeated, I quickly get my 3rd talisman slot. Then I head back into Stormveil Castle real quick in order to get the Misericord. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that. Anyways, this dagger is one of the top notches of daggers because it has a crit stat of 140, which I'm pretty sure is a 400% crit damage bonus. Now it's time to deal with the Draconic tree Sentinal here, which was very easy to cheese. It took quite a bit of time and lightning strike dodging, but eventually he goes down. Quite a cheesy little corner if you know how to dodge well. Anyways, with the capital now open, it's now time to pay a little visit to Rennala. Rennala overall was a pretty easy fight. I just sniped her with my zaps for all of the boss battle. The fight lasted about 7 minutes and 22 seconds, and I only ended up failing one time, and it's the most heart-wrenching way as well, because of the lack of blue juice. I should really go pick up spare Starlight Shards. With Rennala defeated, I can now swap up my stats because I put a little too much level into Faith, when they should now be going to Arcane. Next up, it's now time to collect some Smithing Stone upgrade material, which just means getting the Smithing Stone bells and buy my way up to victory. I bring my dagger up to plus 12, then head into the village of the Albinauric, where I get an early piece of the Haligtree secret medallion for later, and this also gives me the chance for fighting Gideon's bodyguard. The reason why I do this is for his armor. It gives me some health regen if I'm near death. Next up, I try to farm a bit of runes, but for that I need the Golden Scarab Talisman. And after quickly dealing with Dragon Grail, I get just the amount of runes that I wanted. With it, I level up my health and endurance. Now it's time to pay a visit to the Godskin Fatty at the Volcano Manor. There's two things that I want here, and he's pretty much the only barrier that I need to get through. Luckily for me, he's actually quite easy to parry. It also only takes one parry to riposte. It took about 3 tries to get the parry timings right, but once I had it down, it was glorious. Now with the Godskin Noble defeated, I go and get the Dagger Talisman for bonus critical damage, and a Somber Smithing Stone 7 for my Sacred Seal. And because Somber 8 and 9 are very easy to get, I level up my seal to plus 9, I go and get the Ritual Shield Talisman in the capital, and now it's time for Phantom Godfrey. Yep, that was pretty much it. Quite as easy as it looked. Except for the one part when the big burly guy got me stuck in the corner. Already mid-game and the challenge is going kinda well. I also get the Blessing of the Erdtree incantation right here. A much better health regen incantation, but unfortunately my stats don't allow me to use it just yet. It would have been real nice to have it in this fight against the next boss, which is Morgott. But I think a bit of extra health overall would have been better. So in this fight against Morgott, I went less with the zap my enemy route, and went with the parry him to oblivion path. And whenever I could, I would sneak in a few stabs and slashes here and there. Overall, the fight was just an absolute parry fest. I had a few close calls here and there though, but it's nothing the health regen can't fix. And at the end, when he had very low health, I just decided to zap him. The fight lasted about 7 minutes and 34 seconds, and I ended up retrying about 23 times. I died quite a good amount of times in this fight. The limitations that I placed on myself is actually making this run pretty difficult. But that wasn't the only reason why I was dying to Morgott quite a bit. It was actually the first time me trying to parry him, and all those deaths were quite the learning experience. Moving on, I have a seizure while using the Band of the Fort gesture on him, and also do an aneurysm inflicting default dance. Anyways, moving forward, I go to the Purified Ruins in order to get the Shabriri grape that's located here, Then deal with Vike, the Frenzy Invader that's located right next to the Church of Inhibition. The reason why I'm fighting him is because I need the fingerprint grape that he drops. Great, now I give Edgar right here a letter from his daughter. Then eliminate him because he decided to invade me. And after shanking him to death, he drops the last Shabriri grape that I needed. Then I feed them to this poor, blind, innocent girl right here. Squishy frenzy eyes. Next up, I fight against Mohg the Omen right here, which is all the way at the bottom of the subterranean shunning grounds. And because the boss arena of this fight is very small, there were no zaps for this fight. Just some good old-fashioned swish stabs. But of course I'm still bounded by the rules of the run. With Mohg down, I take the quick way to the bottom of the frenzy pit. But I had to go back up and partake in the parkour here in order to get a Frenzied Flame incantation. Back here in the bottom, it's time to get a very spicy hug. Yep, my body is ready. Boop! And after all that, I'm rewarded with the Frenzy Flame Seal. It boosts my Frenzy Flame incantation's damage up by 20%. But damn, it's kind of expensive to optimize, so it's gonna be in my offhand. And one last thing down here, I get a cookbook, which gives me the recipes of the tiny frenzy stones that I can drop for HP recovery. Now I go out and get a few upgrade stones for my weapons. Then I battle my doppelganger in a Tesla coil versus Tesla coil fight. Which of course I come out victorious. And I went down here just to get the black wet blade. This will allow me to place the occult affinity into my dagger. And because most of my damage comes from the arcane stat, this works out pretty well. With these new upgrades, it's time to assault Castle Sol and fight the boss up here. But of course, because of how difficult this game is, it's easier said than done. To start off, the minions need to go bye-bye. After that, I shoot a bit of zaps at the boss. Then pretty much going on full melee, parrying Commander Niall. Took a bit of time, but he eventually goes down. The fight lasted about 7 minutes and 9 seconds, and I ended up failing about 11 times. I love how the commander wasn't really much of a problem in those attempts. It was just the very beginning 2 minion summons that he has. And now with this area conquered, I have the last piece of the Haligtree medallion. And now with access to the consecrated snowfield, I can get the final upgrade pieces that I need for my little old dagger. And also farm up for some sanctuary stones. And because I'm just farming for ingredients, I'm going to give myself the exception here of not needing holy ground in order to attack. And with the ingredients obtained, I now create warming stones and frenzy flame stones in order to increase my health regeneration. But in this next fight against the fire giant, I'm not going to be using it at all. He moves too damn much and it's not worth using those stones. For now, I'm just going to be zapping his legs with some uncharged shots. There really wasn't much anything interesting in this part of the fight. It was pretty much just the same thing over and over again. Just a whole lot of zapping and a whole lot of dodging. At this part of the fight, I just decided to start meleeing the fire giants. I did this because I thought I was using up a bit too much of my flask. And once the second phase was reached, I still continued using my dagger. It pretty much turned into a normal fire giant fight after that, except you know I have to be on the holy ground sigil in order to actually attack. And after a very close call with a fiery death, the fire giant goes down. The fight lasted about 17 minutes and 53 seconds, and unfortunately for me, that was in my first attempt. Now I set myself on fire at the giant's kiln in order to progress the game. Then I head back into the consecrated snowfields to give out a few bear hugs on any unfortunate invader that goes against me. Yep, it looks like the bear wanted a bear hug as well. And unfortunately for me, it seems like the bear hug doesn't work on the Albinarics here at the farming area. Also, I pick up the Haligtree talisman +2 for bonus holy defense, which is going to be very helpful later. Good thing I could still screw with the giant bird that's here, because I'm gonna need those juicy, easy to get runes. And after not learning my lesson that I can't grab Albinarics, I light up all the candles here in the liturgical town, just so I can have access to the Haligtree for later. Because right now it's time for me to fight the Godskin duo, and I'm gonna be summoning help for this fight. And one thing that always surprises me is that Rennala is very good in this fight. Look at him in the background just 1v1ing the Godskin Apostle. Individually, these guys aren't that bad to fight, and because the summon is here, it pretty much made this fight kinda trivial. And after a few Tesla coil zaps, and the occasional swish swish stabs, the Godskin duo goes down, with Rennala pretty much being the MVP of this fight. His ability to self-heal makes him quite the trooper. Moving forward, I get the Grace here under the Great Bridge, and then start to test out the insane amount of health regen I can give myself. Just look at my health fly. The problem though is that it takes quite a while to actually bring everything out. Not only that, but the health regen is only active for a little while. Also, this little healing area gave me an idea for later. And for that I need the Perfumer's Cookbook number 3, which is for Iron Jar Aromatics, which also means I need to start farming for living shards. Anyways, I pick up the Spelldrake Talisman +2, because I'm gonna need that magic resist for a soon to be fallen boss. I also went and got the blue Feather Branch Sword Talisman, but I ended up not really using it very much. And one last thing before fighting the next boss, I went to try to get Morgott's rune active, which was quite a fun time indeed because I just got thrown around a few times. I wouldn't really call the Fell Twins bosses, and that's just because I can easily get right behind them and backstab them. With these two defeated, I activate the Great Rune, which will be used for later for a major increase in health. And now it's time to fight Loretta, the Knight of the Haligtree. For this fight I equipped the Magic Resist Talisman, and I went absolutely crazy with the health regeneration. And because this arena has little corners right here, I'm able to put down my heal field without much interruption. I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel pretty invincible. The only problem is that it actually heals my enemies as well. But good thing it's just from one heal source, which is the Warming Stone. Also, while under the effects of the little heal area, I was acting a bit more reckless than I should have. After purposely getting myself cornered here, I was eventually able to put down Loretta and put an end to this fight. The fight lasted about 6 minutes and 45 seconds, and I had 0 failed attempts. Great, now it's time to get a few more ingredients and perfume bottles for the things I want to make. Head deeper into the Haligtree to get the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for bonus defense. And while I'm here, it's time to fight Malenia. For a majority of the fight against Malenia, it was just parry. Parry, 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 parry. And after any third parry, I would thrust right into her. Yeah, that's pretty much the majority of the Malenia fight. And it worked out pretty well too, because as long as I'm inside of the sigil, any damage is free game. For the second phase, it was pretty much just the same deal, except I was making a little too many more mistakes than I should have. Because of this, Malenia recovered quite a good amount of health. And after the last parry and riposte, Malenia goes down. The fight lasted about 43 minutes, and that's too bloody long if you ask me. I'm pretty sure the only reason why it took that long was waiting for the health regen to save my ass. Also Malenia's bullshit lifesteal. And surprisingly, I only failed 4 times. Funny that with Margit and Morgott I suffered a lot more deaths than in here. But I was learning how to parry them, and that's my excuse. And now here I am, standing in T-pose while having a seizure to assert my dominance. Also surprised floss dance included. Now moving forward, it's time to fight Maliketh. And my initial encounter with him should have been better. Pretty much almost died there. Good thing there's pillars here in the arena that'll allow me to heal in relative safety. You just gotta be careful from any bullshit attacks. So most of phase 1 was just waiting for him to come to me and my little sigil on the ground. Here in the second phase, my health regen was actually pretty good against destined death, and that means I didn't have to worry about the damage over time that the boss inflicts. Still gotta be careful with the big bloody sword the boss has though. Aside from running around and hiding behind pillars sometimes in order to reactivate my health regen, this fight went quite swimmingly as I was able to put down some good holy grounds. And after enough dagger poking, Maliketh goes down. The fight lasted about 14 minutes and 45 seconds, and I was able to do it in my first attempt. Moving on, I give Gideon a big ol' kiss to the face with my pumpkin helm. Just ignore the burning and agony that he's suffering right now. It was a friendly gesture, I swear. Then I go pick up the Crimson Amber Medallion +2 for that big boost in total health. Then the Erdtree's Favor +2 for another boost. And after activating Morgott's Great Rune, I now have a huge bar of health. Great, because now it's time to fight Godfrey. The fight against Godfrey was pretty much a good old-fashioned brawl. And this is also when I started to use the Holy Ground double stone combo again. I can only really effectively pull it off if the boss is slow enough, or if they don't move around too damn much. And lucky for me, Godfrey is the slow type. And now here in the second phase, it's time for me to bring the idea I had into action. And that's to be an absolute tank while my full health regen is active. It's a shame I can still get grabbed though. Also, after my health regen pool runs out, I have to tactically retreat. Because if I get hit by a bad attack, I'm pretty much dead. Because I can't get knocked up due to the effect of the Iron Jar Aromatic, it's possible for me to take full damage from Godfrey's AoE bomb attack. Also, I was able to pull off the Iron Jar combo again during the fight. And that also meant the risk of losing again. And after a good bit of fighting, Godfrey goes down. The battle lasted about 16 minutes and 11 seconds, and I did it in my first attempt. Now it's time to go onwards to the final boss. But before that, here's my equipment and the level I'm finishing at. Alright, for Radagon, it's parry time again. But that of course is if I can actually pull it off. I also went to go pick up the Old Lord's Talisman because the current durations weren't cutting it anymore. Alright, to start this fight, I go in with my Iron Jar ready. And once I'm in here, I instantly place the Holy Ground and start throwing down my stones. And let me tell you, Radagon was not happy about that at all. But once I'm under all my buffs, I'm pretty much near invincible. Now it's just time for me to lay on him. But that's of course if I don't fail on landing a parry, because that just instantly destroys my stamina. Not much was gained from the combo, but it was pretty awesome to pull off. Now the rest of the fight is just me parrying Radagon to oblivion. Regenerating health was a bit of a pain because Radagon loved to be right up my ass. After enough parries, he eventually goes down. And now it's time to deal with the Elden Beast. And you know what he gets for a majority of the fight? He gets the old Tesla Coil Zap special. Great, now it's gotten to this point, it's time to use up my singular Starlight Shard that I ended up picking up throughout the entire run. Yeah, I should have picked up more just in case, because now I'm just here dodging everything, trying to get close to the boss. Also, I should have leveled up my mind a bit more. I focused a little too much on health. But after a good amount of swish stabs for my little dagger, I charge up a Tesla shot and the Elden Beast goes down. All this fighting lasted about 20 minutes and 4 seconds, and I ended up retrying 7 times. And the reason behind all those failures? Radagon. That's pretty much it. And after all this adventuring, my seizures have finally caught up to me. And I ended up dying right at the end. But surprise, guess what? I lived! And I have now ascended. And with that, I finished the run. I beat the game by only regenerating my health, and also I was a Tesla coil. And I gotta say, this was a pretty fun run. My only problem really was the amount of prep I had to do for it all. Also the insane amount of farming for items and runes. Now, would I recommend you to do this run if you're feeling bored? Yeah. The farming was a bit of a hassle, but it was a fun run to do. But one major problem I had was the amount of time it took to actually take out all your healing items. It takes about like 10 seconds to set up everything. And what's one thing that they don't give you in boss fights? Well, that's time. So to actually pull off the healing pool, pretty damn difficult, honestly. Well, that's pretty much the end of the video, and also I'm sorry for how long it took to actually make this video. Well, this has been Warnock Gamer 4, and make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell notification for alerts when I post a new video. And thanks for watching this video and my previous videos if you have as well. Later.